Alright everyone, today I wanted to go over one of the most rewarding parts about playing on the seasonal server, and in my opinion this is one of the most fun things to do as well. I did a whole bunch of these last season and I can say the rewards not only make it worthwhile, but it makes it to the point where you really want to make sure to try to do these properly and not have them go to waste, because they're going to be a major source of certain things like TUVALA ore, which it's going to make your life so much easier. If you ever feel like you're going to be struggling for TUVALA ore, if you do these properly, you're never going to have that problem again. You're going to be absolutely flooded with more TUVALA ore than you can even know what to do with. But the key is to make sure to do these right, and it's very easy to mess up, especially at the start of the season, and have these things go to waste, and they're not something that you're going to get a million of. You're probably only going to end up getting a couple of these a week unless you grind an insane amount, in which case you might get a couple more. But case in point, you're not going to get enough of these to just have them completely go to waste, so try to get the most amount of rewards from these as you can. So let's get into all the details that you're going to want to know, and I can safely say that as somebody who run literally hundreds of these last season, I know quite a bit about them, how they work, and really how to get the absolute most out of them. So what I'm talking about, of course, is the Rift Echo. Now, these things right here, how you actually get them is there's a couple of different ways. Number one is there's actually a weekly quest, and what you want to do is you want to go over to your recurring tab and you want to scroll down to the very bottom where it says Season Stronger TUVALA Gear. Now for me, I've already done my weekly. It was one of the very first things that I actually did, so you can see that there's already a cooldown of 4 days and 6 hours. However, if you have not done your weekly yet, not only is this going to end up giving you one of those Rift Echoes, but it's going to give you 600 time-filled Blackstones as well, so the rewards are super worthwhile. And as soon as you do that, it's going to start that 1 week cooldown, so you want to do this as soon as you can. Basically, every week that you're playing on seasonal, this should be at the very top of your priority list. What it's going to have you do is basically you have a whole big list of all these different areas that you can go to, and there's going to be an NPC at these various areas where you talk to the NPC and you're going to have to kill something like 5,000 mobs. It might end up taking you an hour or two to do, but it's once a week and the rewards are super worthwhile. You're absolutely going to want to make sure to do it, not just for the Rift Echo, but for all of those time-filled Blackstones that you get as well. So that's going to be a source to get one of these per week, guaranteed, locked up, no RNG required. Now, the other source is when you're killing monsters, there is a reasonably low chance you're not going to get a ton of these, but if you grind and you play seasonal enough, they will start to add up. You're going to end up getting these things right here, these Rift Fragment. Now, basically, this is 1/5 of a Rift Echo, and when you end up collecting 5 of these, you're going to combine them in a plus, like a plus icon right there, just like a whole bunch of different stuff. You get the point. And basically, when you combine 5 of them into a plus, it turns them into one of these Rift Echo, and that's another way in order to get them. They've also given out a couple of them for freebies and coupon codes as well, so maybe we'll get some more. But the thing is, you're not going to get an insane amount of these. You're going to get that one guaranteed from the weekly, and then you might get a couple more depending on how much you grind, but you're not going to be overflowing with these Rift Echoes. And that means you're going to want to try to get the most out of them that you possibly can. So let's get into how to get the most stuff from these and some of the really big mistakes that a lot of people will make, especially at the start of the season, really throwing these away here. So what you're going to not want to do, and I repeat, this is a big mistake, and a ton of people do this because they just don't know any better, is you do not want to solo these. I hate to say it, if you guys hate group content, this is one of those things where it's not going to just be a benefit to do it in a group. It's going to be such a major benefit that it's really the only option that you have. You are absolutely going to want to get a group together to do these, because the way that these work is it's going to summon a whole bunch of mobs and bosses, mostly bosses, and they're going to be pretty difficult here, especially towards the start of the season. I believe there's going to be 3 waves with the rare chance of there being a 4th wave. And not only are the bosses going to be pretty difficult to actually solo, but the thing is, if you end up going in a group with these, you're going to have your entire group be able to help you out. But on top of that, the way that basically everybody runs these is when you get a group, let's say a group of 5 together, which is obviously going to be ideal. Not only are you going to make the encounters 5 times more difficult by having everybody there to actually help you out kill the bosses, but what a lot of people do is when they get a group of 5 together, everyone will end up bringing one of these Rift Echo or more if you decide to get a group together where you're doing more than one, and then you'll run a rotation. So what I mean by that is one person will start off by using their one Rift Echo, and then after you run that one, then somebody else in the group will go and they'll use their Rift Echo, and then the next person, and so on and so forth until you go through the entire group. So you're all helping each other out. You're making the bosses a lot easier. You're making the encounters a lot quicker. But on top of that, you get the loot from everybody else's Rift Echo as well. So on top of making it basically 5 times easier, when running in a group of 5, you're also going to get 5 times the loot. So the benefit is so big that it's basically just completely wasting these if you end up running it solo. And not only that, another incentive to run it in a group, if that's not enough right there, is when you actually run these, there is a chance for rare spawns. There's 2 of them in particular, and I want to go over what they are. The 2 rare spawns are going to be the giant bird, the Puderum, I don't know exactly how his name is, but the giant bird that you see all over the place, especially in the desert. If you've done the desert story, you guys know the bird that I'm talking about. That is one of the rare encounters. He's a bit more difficult than the other encounters. Now, the thing about the bird is that one is okay if you don't have as good of a group, because eventually you're going to end up killing it. Even if you die a couple of times, it's not really that big of a deal. You resurrect right nearby, and I'll show you guys where you actually end up spawning these bosses. It's basically right here where I'm located. I'll even switch to a seasonal server here in a second, because there's probably a ton of people running these right now. It's a great time to do it right at the start of the season. A lot of people are trying to get these done. But if you do end up dying, the bosses are going to spawn like basically right around here, and you just resurrect right over there with like no penalties. So it's not a big deal on the giant bird if you die or take a little while to kill it in a slow group. But the thing is, the other rare boss, the second one here, is going to be a bunch of goblins. And you know that you've triggered the second rare goblin boss when you see a bunch of pillars of, yellow to orange light kind of shoot up in the sky right by the boss spawn location. And that means that you got the treasure goblin and the giant treasure chest rare. And that's the one that you really want to be paying attention to, and you want to have a good group for, because you have to kill a whole bunch of those little goblins in a very short period of time, and they're all going to start to run away from the center. And if you don't end up doing that in a short period of time, you're actually going to miss out on the giant treasure chest. And the giant treasure chest is considered the best rare encounter. The loot is slightly bigger than the bird. It's a bit RNG, but I ran hundreds and hundreds of these, and the treasure goblin is considered like a slight tier above the bird. But either way, the giant bird is a rare, and it's got better loot than the normal encounters. And then the goblin is also a rare encounter, which has slightly better loot as well. The chance of those are pretty rare. I want to say like a 1 in 10 chance or so. Sometimes you get a wave of rare encounters. Sometimes you go a very long time without getting one. But either way, you want to try to be in a decent group, especially for that goblin one, because those rare encounters are going to make all the difference. They have a chance to give you things like fail stacks, cron stones, and other really, really good stuff. And if you end up missing out on those, well, like the goblins, you only have one chance, just a few seconds to kill them before it disappears and you don't get another shot. So now the other stuff that you end up getting from these, very importantly, I want to go ahead and show you guys something above my head here, and I want to talk about exactly what this is, because I ran so many of these last season. I can really kind of go over the details of exactly how many of the different seasonal materials you actually end up getting from these. So the 3 different seasonal materials that you're going to end up getting from these Rifts Echo is the time-filled blackstones, the TUVALA ore, and the refined magical blackstones. And the order from most to least that you do get the most time-filled blackstones, then you get the second most TUVALA ore and the least amount of the refined magical blackstones. But the reason why I say that these are honestly the best source of your TUVALA ore is the numbers that I have. Basically, what you can think of is like for every 1 refined magical blackstone that you end up getting from these Rift Echoes, you're going to get 2 TUVALA ore. And for every 1 refined magical blackstone, you're going to get like roughly 3 to 4 time-filled blackstones. So if you end up with like, 10 refined magical blackstones, you're going to have like roughly 20 TUVALA ore and roughly 30 to 40 time-filled blackstones. So every single wave that you defeat in these Rifts Echo is going to give you loot, and all the waves except for the rares are primarily just going to give you these 3 materials, but the rares especially have a chance of giving you things also like the TUVALA accessories that are already partially enhanced. So like if you end up killing those treasure goblins and you actually do a good job in your group, you might end up getting a TUVALA accessory already enhanced from the actual loot table, in addition to a lot of extra of these time-filled blackstones, TUVALA ore, and refined magical blackstones. Now, the thing is, even though the TUVALA ore is not the most plentiful thing that you end up getting, it's the thing that you're going to end up using the least of. there's a big difference between like 100 time-filled Blackstones and 100 Tuvala ore. 100 time-filled Blackstones is not going to last you nearly as long as 100 Tuvala ore. So what I noticed after literally running hundreds and hundreds of these is that I ended up getting something like, 10,000 time-filled Blackstones, 5,000 Tuvala ore, and a couple thousand of the refined magical Blackstones. But the other two things, the refined magical Blackstones and the time-filled Blackstones, it's really easy to actually go through 1,000,000 of those really quickly, just enhancing your gear. But the Tuvala ore, once you finish your accessories, especially, you're not going to really use Tuvala ore for anything else other than working on your accessories and repairing your Tuvala gear when you end up enhancing it. And it only takes one Tuvala ore to repair it when you fail an enhancement. So you're going to end up with so much extra of this. And this is without a doubt the best way to end up getting your Tuvala ore. So what I wanted to do now is let's actually head over to a seasonal server so you guys can see there's a pretty darn good chance that there's going to be people doing this. It's a little early in the morning, but let's actually head over to, it won't let me switch over to season 1 because I'm not considered a novice anymore, but let's switch over to season 2 and let's see if there's anybody running these so you guys can actually get a sense here. I didn't want to record this in a group because I would have to get permission from everyone to include them in the video, and sometimes people get a little comfortable. They don't really want to do that. So hopefully we can catch some people without joining a group here, and just so you guys can actually see what it looks like. And there we go. We actually got, wow, we got a lot of groups going on right here. So you guys can see this is the location right here, and those are the different bosses. You can see that you'll actually will see the bosses from other groups outside of your own group. But once you actually start the encounter in your own group, it's going to instance you and it's going to phase everybody else out. So you won't actually see other people's bosses when you're killing your own boss. So you don't really have to worry about that. But you can see what it looks like here. You can see that basically everybody is running in a group, and that's exactly the way that you want to do it. So no rare bosses right now, but you'll see if you see a giant bird or if we see some golden pillars, that means that the goblins or the Pewterum spawned, and those are both of the rare spawns right there. So that's what it's going to look like. This is where you summon your Rift's Echo. Keep an eye on the group chat as well. I hate to say it because chat is kind of a mess here, but the seasonal server and running these Rift's Echo, this is really the one time that I want to say, if you're going to look out for one thing in the group chat for seasonal servers, it's looking out for groups for these, because people will be posting for trying to get people for these all the time. I'll even show you guys. You can see that the groups are currently being formed all the time here. People are looking for more for these all the time. You could basically, especially at the start of the season, you can almost always find a group for one of these. So do not run these solo. Don't waste them on your own. You're going to completely throw them away and miss out a huge opportunity to get some really, really awesome stuff. One of the best ways to really stockpile those seasonal materials. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that so you actually see what it looks like on the seasonal server here. But that's going to be about it for the video, guys. I wanted to really showcase this because it's so important for the seasonal server. But that's going to be about it. So if you guys enjoyed and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to toss a quick like as well. It really does help out and mean more than you can imagine. So thank you so much to those of you guys who do that. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to let me know in the comments section. Or, of course, you're always welcome to stop by the Twitch live stream where you can ask me things in more detail. I mostly do a bunch of enhancing, but I've been playing the seasonal server quite a bit as well. So twitch.tv/salt. Thanks again for all the support, guys. There's been an insane amount of it lately with the videos. You guys are absolutely awesome. So I hope that you guys continue enjoying the summer season, and more guides and fun stuff coming out soon as well. So until next time, everyone, have a good one.